Most of us function in a state of comfort. We slump our progress thinking we will start our transformative journey once we know everything. We're so tied to perfection, we need to study it all before we take a small action. Like knowing the perfect diet to eat before you start cutting sugars, or knowing the most effective exercise regimen before you hit the gym. But this is all a lie. Progress happens through action, which brings experience, which solidifies learning. Most of the achievements we want in life rely on learning a skill or a set of skills. It's almost impossible to grow unless we put ourselves into uncomfortable situation. See, there's this idea in entrepreneurship called living on the edge. It's almost as if you're trying to grow, you need to try to be bigger than you are today. That in itself means you're not gonna know and be able to predict everything perfectly. That is exactly where uncertainty comes from. So let's say from a 0 to 100, you're at a level 60. Everything above 60 is uncomfortable, everything below is easy, right? Well, if you're not pushing yourself over 70 to 80 on a daily basis and getting in that zone, it's very hard to grow. Because think of it like this. You're never gonna be ready to take action for something that you haven't perfected. Yet, you cannot perfect it unless you take action. So taking action comes before you're ready. And that's sort of like a prerequisite to learning. As a principle, living on the edge is exactly what we want. It's being a little bit bigger than we actually are today. It's trying to grow a little bit out and extend ourselves on a daily basis. That's what growing is all about. In other words, you need to start being comfortable with being uncomfortable and living on the edge. Most people fall into the trap of doing something for the sake of getting something done. But if we're not moving in the desired direction, we're spending energy on nothing. Having some sort of structure, whether that is listing our top priorities or outlining specific goals and actions we'll take to get there, is critical to steer the wheel in the correct path. Our goals in life change with the change in our values, environment, and achievement. To keep your actions directionally correct, you need to steer the wheel weekly by assessing where you are, where you want to be, and are you moving in that direction. We all have a set of future projections about ourselves in our life. We all have sort of a painting of the ideal future. How will I work? What will I wear? How will I look? What will I do? Etc. Having specific goals, or at least some form of direction, as in directing your life towards a specific objective, is key. Why? Because if you don't have this, you can spend a ton of energy doing meaningless things that actually don't bring you closer to your goal, because you don't have a very solid direction and a specific goal you're aiming to achieve. For everyone, this is different. Some want to put out 5 pounds of muscle. Others want to do a public speaking event. Third, want to go on a date. Someone else wants to buy a flat for 2025 as the main goal. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just getting more specific on it will sort of dictate the energy and the flow of thoughts that are going to get you there. If you don't have the specific direction, it's kind of hard for your brain to guide you when there are all these distractions around. So this is where I believe taking micro blocks in the week, so about 1 hour at maximum, to sort of review your life's direction, see if that target has changed, if that goal is slightly different or it's the same, see what track are you on, do you need to make some micro improvements and shifts to get there faster, or you're on the right track and you saw that you did a lot of great work last week, and so you just tap yourself on the shoulder and continue because you know you're going in the right direction. This also reduces the hypothetical stressors in your brain, which bring forth a lot of worrying and caring about things that won't matter 5 years from now. Overthinking about a problem doesn't solve it. In most cases, it puts one in a state of worry. The Nike principle of just do it is a great way to break the pattern of overthinking or listening to our emotions of laziness. Yes, a lot of times we won't feel like it. We're humans, we're lazy animals. But if we want to be more vigorous, full of life and exuberance, then we ought to wake up to life in us. If you find you're functioning on 50% and for whatever reason you want to upgrade to the next level and fill your battery up to 90%, you've come at the right place. We've distilled science on human health and performance into a simple, all-in-one guide. This way you can gain clarity on what are the top 11 highest ROI habits that help you unlock the next level of vitality, increase energy levels, and sharpen your focus. This blueprint covers things like fasting, nootropic, metabolic dieting, sleep tracking, and more, giving tools to break free from fatigue and function at your best, day after day. It's a digital set comprised of a 150 plus page ebook, 13 high quality videos explaining each topic and the context behind it, and a 4-week habit tracker. If you're ready to unlock lasting energy and peak productivity, you can grab it now. Scan the QR code or links in the description. It's my experience with people, myself being a human, that we are tendentious towards laziness and comfort. This is sort of our primal mechanism of saving energy and keeping ourselves safe. So saving energy would be about eating more, moving less, and not taking action that'll bring uncertain result is definitely what keeps us safe. But we all know that expending energy in the right domains, like building your body, developing your relationship, researching your interests, is giving you depth, is giving your life a little bit more zest. It's making you more alive. We humans are a little bit too much on the thinking side and not so much on the action side. I think most would profit if they were to stop overthinking things and they were to direct their energy towards actually trying out and experimenting with some of the things they're thinking about. Because think of it, action is the real prerequisite to learning. It doesn't matter how much theoretical knowledge we have unless we have a life, unless we have experience. And also, let's say someone is giving you a theoretical presentation on how to eat healthier and they're 500 pounds. Well, it's quite hard to take them as an authority because they don't actually walk their talk. So just do it is another principle I really believe in. And yes, sometimes it's just not going to be enough energy and motivation to do things. Like the last drop of spirit in you is missing, but you're going to have to pick it up and get your gym shoes on, call up and catch up with an old friend, finish that paper or whatever it is. Because life and energy and momentum come after action, not before when we're just thinking about how we're going to take action. So sometimes it's just better to live by just doing it. We've overpopulated the internet with quick fixes and shortcut tips because it's catchy, it gets the views, it sells better. But reality is, you won't enjoy the result if you avoid doing the hard work. Doing the fundamental thing you know you need to do. Like if you want muscle, it's quite simple. You need to lift more than last week and eat more frequently. No single supplement or bullet point list will do this work for you if you don't fix the fundamentals. Yes, before you're trying to find all these quick hacks and tips and tricks, try to look at the base. Is the base fixed? Are you doing the most important fundamental things that represent doing the work or not? Around New Year's, I thought about this subject quite a lot, extensively. I've always found myself sort of driven by and inspired by finding the quickest, most effective solution. And those things like hacks sounded very proficient in this. But for 2025, I chose to do things slightly differently. So instead of looking for the small hacks, I was like, well, let's first fix the base. Let's make sure I'm training 4 to 5 times weekly and I add up about 5% of weight to my strength training. Nutrition wise, let's drop all sugars, let's stop eating junk, and let's do more vegetables, fruits, meat, eggs. Education wise, stop trying to summarize books on ChatGTP, just go 2 podcasts and 2 hours of book reading a week at least. That's like the bare minimum. So I did a little table where I set out all the podcasts and books I was gonna read and listen to in this 6-month period, and I'm well on track. When I work with clients in the gym, this is exactly the thing I'm trying to teach. Instead of looking for novel exercises and seeking newness all the time, try to get good at the fundamental things that actually shape your physique and make you stronger. For example, try to get really good in the squat, try to get really good in the deadlift. Don't try to get all these accessory movements that are way less effective in achieving our objective. Next step will seem contradictory after reading this because it's about novelty, but I kind of think you'll understand it. When life's lived in a cube, it becomes meaningless. We fail to find enjoyment, purpose in the work we do. We feel closed off and our mind starts running the depression and anxiety script, providing hypothetical dangers and threats. We need to go out and live life more. For someone, this means going on a date. For others, it means traveling more often. For some, it may be saying yes to a new adventure or a business proposal. Whichever it is, seek more life, seek more progress. It's not less productive, it's more productive. Get dynamic, go out and work in a coffee shop, get some contacts, share some ideas. Life is more enjoyable this way. And finally, the biggest change I've made in 2025 is choose to not sit 365 days a year miserable in my own room working on a computer. Let me explain why. Every time I traveled somewhere, every time I had an interest in social interaction or a big business challenge, I felt much more alive. As time progressed, I had this idea that if I can just isolate myself and work a lot of hours in my room, I'm gonna somehow get better, more productive, more efficient, and get more things done. But see, your brain doesn't really work like that. I know you might have phases where you're trying to extend your focus and be very productive, but the brain needs fuel, not just in terms of nutrients, but in terms of experiences, social dynamics, traveling and seeing different places, coming off with different perspectives. So for 2025, I chose to do a couple of things. First, I prioritized friends and family a bit more. I rejoiced and reconnected with old friends, wider family, with my exes, and sort of sparked a conversation there. I intentionally chose to spend about 10% of my income on traveling, so either there is a larger 1 week to 10 day trip every second month, or I'm doing like 4 to 5 day trips every month to sort of open up my brain, see things from a different perspective. I have this sense that the more I travel and the more things I see, I kind of become bigger, more clear on what I want, and more confident. And generally, all this work that I do feels way more meaningful if I travel and live my life than if I don't. And it also makes living life way more fun and interesting. So it kind of makes it feel like it's worth living more.